Hello everyone and welcome to the Career Circus webinar. So our webinar this evening is all about starting business. Okay, so we are delighted to have Christine the coach with us who's going to talk through 6 easy steps to starting a business. And these steps are fantastic and Christine is breaking these down for you, looking into 6 areas. Now, as someone myself, I actually started my business a couple of years ago, but still looking through the slides for this webinar, I found it really, really interesting because there's so many elements to look at, and it's good to sort of make sure, refine. When you have a business, you're always looking into these areas. So some really, really fantastic steps here from Christine. So just in terms of a bit of housekeeping for the webinar today, especially if this is your first time to a webinar, hopefully you can see the screen okay. We will be going through slides on either my screen or Christine's screen. So if you're having any problems at all with what you can hear or see, there's a little chat box in your navigation bar down towards the end. So do chat in there and chat to, and you can chat to the whole audience, or you can direct it towards me, so Saffron Fidget, organizer, and just make me aware that you're having some problems and I can help you out there. Christine will explain this further, but there will be opportunities to ask questions throughout the webinar as well. And again, you can use that chat function to ask your questions to Christine. Okay, lovely. All right, so without further ado, what I'm doing now is I'm just handing over the screen so that the screen will go over to Christine. And also I'd just like to take this opportunity to welcome Christine. Hello Christine, welcome. We should be able to hear you.
Hello.
Hi there.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. So you've now got full control, so I'll hand over to you to make a start on your presentation. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Hello, and also welcome from my side to this webinar about how to start your own business. 6 easy steps that every startup should know about and take, in my opinion. Saffron mentioned it before, just wanted to check if everyone can hear me okay and see the slides. So if you could pop a quick yes in the comment box, that would be great. Just so I'm sure you can all hear me okay. I mean, Saffron already said she could. Yeah, okay, that's great. So as I just said, this is a webinar about how to start your own business. It will be approximately 45 to 60 minutes long, including a Q&A session at the end. But what I'm going to do as well, because there are 6 steps involved, after every step I'm going to ask you if you have any questions, and you can ask questions related to that specific step I just talked about. But then in the end you have some more opportunities to ask questions. And just pop them in the comment box and redirect them just to me, Christine, or to Saffron. But if you just send them to Saffron, I won't be able to see them. So either to all or just to me, that would be okay. So as I said, this webinar will give you a better understanding. As it's just 45 to 60 minutes long, I won't be able to talk about every single step in detail, but it will give you a good idea where to start, and I will go into detail of one of the steps. That's one of the main things you should do. But before I start with that, I just want to give you a quick talk about me and who I am, so that you know. So that's me. I'm Christine. I'm from Germany. I was born in Berlin. That's me as well, my mom holding me. I did some internships and then an apprenticeship in marketing and advertising, and after that I just continued working in design agencies as a senior account manager and strategic consultant. After a while I decided to move to the lovely UK and lived in London. I'm now based in Essex, and I started to work again in a design agency as senior account manager and in the marketing department at Ford. But even though I enjoyed the work most of the time, I now have another mission in life, and that is helping other people to succeed and start their own business. So that's why I've done my own I started my own business, similar to Saffron. I've done my NLP practitioner, that stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. If you don't know what that is, you can go to my website, christinethecoach.com. I will show you at the end again, and have a look in my questions section, and I explain exactly what NLP is. And I've also done my coaching practitioner. And now I'm the creative startup coach, helping people to start their own business and in the end market it successfully as well. Some other personal facts about me. I love traveling. I find it very inspiring, exciting and mind-opening. I think if you travel the world, you can meet so many interesting people, learn so much about other cultures and everything, and you can also find back to yourself. I also like doing some other things that take me out of my comfort zone, and you can see that in here. There is for example, paragliding, base flying, which is jumping off buildings, swimming with the sharks, or even walking over glass. So, that's enough about me. Are you ready to love what you do for a living and start your own business? Let's go then. Okay, so here are the 6 steps. Clarity, hang on to your values, analyze who you want to work with, narrow down the steps involved, grow your confidence, and engage your audience. And as you can see, that forms an acronym called CHANGE. Obviously, there's a reason for calling it CHANGE, because if you start your own business, it will change your life drastically and in a good way. Basically, your business becomes your life, and you need to be aware of that. But even more important, that you're organized and structured to work your way through your whole journey. And this is what these 6 steps are all about, to guide you through and help you through all of that, because in my own experience as well, it can be very overwhelming to start your own business. There's so much to do. There's constantly things you can improve and develop and everything. But it's a good thing. If you really love what you're doing, and that's what it's all about, then it doesn't really feel like work. So that's great. So just quickly, what can happen if you ignore these steps and just start without any of these and without any structure? I mean, most people don't even know where to start when they want to start their own business, and that's what it's all about. So you can waste money and time on marketing unclear messages. You can be, and I mentioned that before, you can be very overwhelmed with the tasks involved setting up your business. You can give up even due to lack of confidence, get lost in your marketing plan. And I think I just jumped over one of the, oh no, there it is. You don't really know where you're going if you don't have clarity. You will lose motivation. You make decisions that are not aligned with your values and your company values, and who you really are. You will work with people you don't really want to work with because you're unclear who you want to work with. So this is all very important. So as I mentioned before, I will quickly run through each step, and then what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to focus on analyze who you want to work with. And this is all about creating an avatar of your ideal client. And what that means, I will explain later when we are at the A part of change, analyze who you want to work with. So let's get started. Clarity. What means clarity? Lots of people say that no one really knows what it means, or some people think, oh, I'm very clear on what I want to achieve. I know exactly what I want. But if you ask specific questions, they might get stuck and don't really have the answer to it. And that means they're not really clear on what they want. And a clear goal will keep you motivated and focused. Because if you don't know where you want to be, how will you know you achieved it? Or how will you know which way to go? So it's all about clarity. And there are a few questions you can ask yourself, and this is just an extract of all the questions, but they should keep you going and start thinking about it. So what business would you like to have? So what kind of business? even like the legal structure of it, it needs to be really, really clear. Why would you like that business? So that can be because you're really good at it, but in my opinion, being good at something should not be enough. It's all about your passion. What do you love doing? Because as I said, starting your own business will take up a lot of your time. And if you don't love it, you won't live it. And if you don't want to live it, you won't be successful. So why would you like that business? Very important. Again, a motivational question. What do you want to earn? What should be your turnover? All these questions, that's what I mean. It needs to be very specific. Another question you can ask is, where do you want it? I mean, if you live in the UK at the moment, you might say, I would like to have actually my business in New Zealand or in Germany or wherever you want. So you need to be clear about where you want the business. When do you want it? It might not be the right time to have it yet, but you can start working and preparing towards it. So it's a question, when do you want it? And also, when do you want it to be at a specific point of the journey? So there are, even if you, sorry, one thing, even if you don't know where to start, and you just say, oh, I really would like to work for myself, but I don't know what I want to do, there are lots of things you can do to find out, and there's some exercises and everything that you can do to find out what you're passionate about. It's most of the time, okay, what do you love doing, and what combined with something that you're really good at. And even if you don't know, you could ask your friends or your family, and I'm sure they will point things out that you're really good at that you wouldn't have thought of, because for you it's very normal and not really, oh, I'm not really good at it, it just comes natural, but that might be exactly the thing that you might want to turn into a profession. So we are here now at the point where I want to give you an example how to phrase your goal, to be very specific, to be motivational, and so on. And you might have heard of the SMART principle, again an acronym, and as you can see, which means specific, measurable, acceptable, reasonable, and time-bound. And all that means is specific, that's the word itself, so be very specific about every single thing in there. I'll give you an example in a moment as well, what's a good goal. But it's all about being specific, because the more specific you are, the better you can achieve your goal, and the better it will, you can work towards it, and it's then much easier to decide what to do and how to do things. It needs to be measurable, so you need to put in actual figures so that you know you have achieved your goal. Again, if you don't put that in there, how will you know you have achieved it? It needs to be acceptable, which is like from you and your environment as well. So if you say, as I just mentioned before, oh, I would like to start my own business in New Zealand, but you have a family over here and a kid that goes to school, you might want to reconsider that and talk to your family about it. So it needs to be acceptable for you, but also for the people that are involved in it. It needs to be reasonable, which means it is all about, as it's saying, reasonable and achievable. If you set a goal, oh, I want to have a successful business in the next 6 months and I want to turn over 1.5 million, depending on the product, nothing is impossible, but you need to be realistic about it. The last point is time-bound. Well, time-bound is really to put a date in there. And again, it's all about being realistic. And if you don't achieve the goal, there's nothing bad that might happen. So it's really, really important to be realistic about it and put a date in there. So that's the SMART one. There's another one I really like using, which is an acronym ACHIEVE. And it's very similar to the SMART one. It's just phrased a bit differently and it's even more specific in my opinion. So the A stands for as if now. And what that means is you state your goal as if it already happened. So you don't say, I want a successful business in 2015. You say, I have a successful business in 2015. It's not specific enough, but just to give you an example of as if now. Now the next point, clear and specific. I can't stress that enough, but it means exactly what I explained before. Hittable. So you need to be able to make it. And as we all know, sometimes life happens and you might have to change the goal, or you might have still the same goal, but you might just change slightly the timeline or whatever it is. But it needs to be in reason. And that's the reasonable on the other side. In a positive direction. And as an example, if your goal would be to start your own business, because one of the reasons might be, okay, you just love working for yourself and the freedom and all of that, but also to leave your current job. So your goal should not say, or your milestones, we talk about that as well in a minute, your goal should not say something like, I am not in my current job anymore, but started my own business, because that's a negative language. You should phrase it in positive direction, positive language. So that means I have left my job, or I have started my successful business. So try to avoid negative words. Exciting, well, it stands for itself, and I guess you know what that means. It's more being really excited about it, and it's all about phrasing it so that it keeps you motivated. Verifiable, and that's the same as the measurable in SMART. You need to be able to verify that you achieved it. And ecological means it needs to be okay for you plus the people around you. So what I explained to you before, if you have a family or other people that are involved in that, or even girlfriend, boyfriend, because it will take up a lot of time. So they all should really buy into that. And once your specific goal is defined, there will be many in-between goals, or milestones as I call them. And it will be good if you have those milestones defined with the same principle, because then you know, okay, I achieved a milestone. And also what's a good thing to do is to put in your goal, or state somewhere next to the goal how you will celebrate when you achieved your goal, and then make sure you celebrate when you achieved it. And that will give you, these are little treats to yourself, and will keep you motivated as well. So this one is an example of a specific goal. So it's all about specific dates for milestones and so on. I own a successful marketing agency in Essex that makes a turnover of X with Y employees in 2020, and pay myself Z salary. So obviously XYZ stands for figures that I didn't put in at the moment. So this is very successful. What's your turnover? How many employees do you have? If you want that, you have a date in there. You can even be more specific and put an actual date in, like 1st of July 2020, whatever it is, and a salary and so on. So that is basically it about the clarity. And I just heard that someone else joined the webinar. Welcome. We were just talking about the first step of starting your own business, which is all about clarity in stating your goals. And if I just go back one slide so that you can see, so you might have heard of SMART, and there's another one, Achieve, but Saffron will make this recording available so you can review that afterwards. So welcome. And any other questions from any other people who were listening to that part about clarity before I move on to the next one? Okay, then let's move on to the next one. Hang on to your values. You might think, what is that? Because some people don't even know what values is, which is fine. And that's why I'm going to define them for you. So what are values? Values are basically your standards that define your behavior. What's important to you in your life. These are your values. And why should you know your values, or especially your company's values? Well, every decision you will make should align with your values. When you know your values, it's much easier to make decisions in general, and makes the decision process very easy, because all you have to do is check what you're working on against your or your company's values, and then it's a simple yes or no decision. So my values are, for example, happiness, honesty, passion, integrity, commitment, authenticity, professionalism, making a difference, fun, and creativity. It's also very important in what kind of order the values are. So if you write down your values, there's an exercise in NLP, so neuro-linguistic programming exercise. That's really good. But you can write down all your values on a piece of paper and then order them. And then someone will ask you about the values, and you go back and forth. And I promise you the order will change. So make sure you then have a final order and take the first 10 values you have on there, put them on a piece of paper and put them somewhere so that you know your values. And often it's the values of your company overlap with your personal values, and that's fine. Sometimes they don't, or sometimes some of them do, some of them don't, and that is fine as well. But this is basically it about values. So do you have any questions about this section? Okay, seems to be that everything's clear. That's great. So the next step of the 6 steps that you should take is analyze who you want to work with. But I'm going to come back to that part later, because I want to spend a bit more time on that and to give you a chance to actually do a bit of brainstorming and write down some answers already. But then, as I said, this will be a recording and will be available to you, so you can go back and listen to it again and then go through in more detail later. So I'm going to come back to that. Let's talk about the N in change. And this stands for narrow down the steps involved. So what is actually involved in setting up your own business? Obviously, that's not all. If it just would be like 4 bullet points, it would be very easy and you could do it within a week. It's really a lot, and this is where it gets to the nitty-gritty, as I call it. So there's so many things, and as I said before, it could be sometimes a bit overwhelming. So it's really important that you focus, you structure everything, put everything on a piece of paper, prioritize it, and then work your way through it by putting an action plan together with milestones and actual dates behind it. There are lots of things, and if some of you are not familiar with it, but there's something called mind mapping. I just love that, especially if you're like a visual person. Some people just use bullet points, which is fine as well. They're different kind of things. But maybe have a look into mind mapping, because that can be very useful for brainstorming sessions and what's actually involved in setting up your own business. And the way it works is you have something in the middle of a piece of paper. You write in there, for example, start my own business, or even more specific when you know what it is. So mine was, for example, my life coaching, my startup life coaching practice, and that was in the middle. And then from that middle, like sun rays, you go up basically and have one ray per topic. So you have a topic for legal stuff, I called it, or you have one topic on marketing, or you have one topic on forms you have to do, and then I have one topic called finance, and so on. And then from these separate topics you can put little race, as I call them, like in sun rays again, and say, okay, what's involved in legal stuff? Okay, you need to get registered. You need to know how to write invoices and so on. And then you have a finance side as well, which is like, do you need a bank account, a business bank account, and so on. And then you have one that's marketing, and then from marketing goes off maybe networking, flyer, website, all these kind of things. And then the great thing is on this mind mapping, if something else pops in your head, you just go to the other area and add something in there without even have to restructure it. If you go by bullet points, you might have to cross something through or try to squeeze something in, and then you don't have enough space on the paper. But if you have a mind map, it's open to all areas, and you can just write things down, whatever pops in your head. And this document, no matter what it looks like, is a living document. Same with the business plan. If you have a business plan, that should always be a living document, which means you can add and change it at any time. So if you can think of something, just pop it on there. And the great thing about it, you can do it digitally or on an actual piece of paper. The great thing about it, you then have it all on one page all the time. So it's a great thing to do to then get everything structured. As soon as you have everything on paper, you might think, oh, that's quite a lot. So don't panic, just look at it and then start prioritizing it. Look really what's really important. What do you have to do first, but also what do you want to do first. There are a few things that you have to do first. For example, it's always a chicken and egg thing, really. So do you develop your products first, or do you need to get some other things in place first to be ready for your first client? So if your first client or customer comes, what should you have ready? Because do you need a contract? Do you need to know how to write invoices? Do you need a website? I mean, everything, as I said, chicken and egg. You need some things in place to get clients, but then you need to have some other things in place to be ready for a client. So it's balancing these things and really be clear about, okay, what needs to be done. And this is where coaches like Saffron and I come in, where we help people working their way through that and just help people focusing on things and find things out by asking questions, because sometimes it's much easier to talk to someone about it and then the answer will come to you. So as I said, prioritize everything, and then when you have your priority list, pick the first priority and define a goal with it, put a date on it, action plan, what steps do you need to take to achieve that bit, who do you need to ask to help you with, and so on, who can help you with, where do you get information from. And then when you have that, just start working your way through it. And it's really that simple. Sounds simple, it's not really, but if you look at it that way, put it on paper, structure it, prioritize it, and then work your way through it by putting an action plan together. And it's really just these steps within that narrow down the steps involved. Do you have any question about that? I mean, if you're interested in mind mapping, there's someone called Tony Buzan who's really good with mind mapping, and there's great books about it. It's really easy. You don't have to go on courses or anything. It's enough to just read a book about it to understand a bit better. But it's Tony Buzan, and the last name is Buzan. So there is a question coming in. How long does it take to write a business plan? How many pages would you recommend? Well, it's different for every startup, I would say. Depending on if you want funding or not, you might not even need a business plan. I talked to a lot of people who never wrote their own business plan. I don't believe them that far that I would say they didn't call a business plan, but they would have had parts of the business plan written down. So if you want funding, that you need to stick to a certain structure because they expect you to have a certain structure in. And then there are competitions where you can win some funding for your startup and so on, and they will define how long it can be. So I know about one funding thing where they say, okay, it should not be longer than 10 A4 pages. And they even give you the font size and everything. If you don't need funding, there is, I think there are certain things you should do anyway and write down anyway as a business plan. But there are two things that I would recommend. One is called the business canvas, which is really just one A3 page, which sounds less scary than a whole business plan. But it gives you a good basis and gets you started on things. And I think even if you want to or have to write a long business plan, a proper business plan with forecasting and everything, this one is the way to go for first, because it gets you going and you can brainstorm it in maximum an hour and fill everything in. It's called Business Canvas. If you Google it, you will find it, and they offer a free template for you to download and then just work your way through it. And the other thing I would recommend is a book called The One-Page Business Plan. And if you go online on Amazon, you can buy it as well. I think it's £10, so it's not really expensive. It's called The One-Page Business Plan. It's just a fun and creative way to go through and work your way through the different things of a business plan, such as mission statements and break-even points and all these kind of things. But it's very easy, I would say, to go through that. But as I said, it really depends on what you're going for. If you're trying to win an award, or if you're trying to get some funding, there's a certain structure, and you should ask beforehand all the rules and what you have to include and what they don't want to include, or how long it can be. But if you just want to do it for yourself and you said you don't really need any funding, just look for the business canvas or the one-page business plan. Okay, that seemed to have answered the question. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Let's go to the next step. Grow your confidence. So this is step number 5 of my 6-step program called Change. And I mentioned it before. On your journey, you will have different stages. And it's not always sunshine, to be honest. You need to know that as well. But as long as you know about it and know how to handle it, that's all fine. And sometimes, as I said, life happens and you can't achieve the goal as quickly as you want. Sometimes it happens quicker than you know. But you can lose motivation and you might just think, okay, why me? Other people do the same thing that I do. Why will I be successful? And you might doubt yourself. But in these moments, you really have to go back to your goals, check why are you doing this. The big why is really important. Why are you doing what you're doing? And it helps you motivate. There's one thing you can do to keep yourself motivated and to grow your confidence as well. You can do a vision board, which is just like a flip chart or a piece of paper or something. You can do it digitally as well, of course, where you post things that inspire you and represent the big why for you. So why are you doing this? It might be because you say, well, in 30 years' time, I want to have a little beach hut in Mexico and a hammock, and I want to be able to afford that with a nice swimming pool next to the nice ocean and so on. Whatever it is, find pictures to for that. So take some magazines, go through, find inspiring quotes, everything you come across. Again, this is a living document where you just put stuff on things along your journey that you find. So that's called a vision board, and that is very motivating. The other thing that you can do, which is really nice, and another coach I've met gave me that tip, is to have like a feedback scrapbook, he calls it. And similar to the vision board, you can have it digitally or actual printouts. And this is all the positive feedback you receive about your work and your company and yourself. Print it off or have it in digital form and put that all on a piece of paper. And then look through that from time to time as well. This will really boost your confidence and give you a good feeling that you're doing the right thing. And then, of course, what I'm doing in my program, because I'm an NLP practitioner, there are lots of NLP techniques that you can use to grow your confidence and to boost your confidence. And that's basically it about the grow your confidence steps. Are there any questions about that step? All right, let's move on to the last step, which is engage your audience. Engage your audience is where everything comes together. You create your marketing plan, and because you went through all the other 5 steps before, so clarity, hang on to your values, analyze who you want to work with is what we do. What to put in that marketing. At the moment you might think, oh, I will never be able to put a marketing plan together. But trust me, when you went through all these steps, it comes together naturally anyway, because you will have exactly defined who your target audience is, and that's what we concentrate after this as well. What we concentrate on after this step. You will know exactly where to find them and what to do with them and how to talk to them. And then you put your marketing, everything is very easy and you can put it in together. So when you put together your marketing plan, it needs to be realistic, budget-wise and time-wise. So how much time can you spend? Some people start their own business while they're still having a full-time job or a part-time job. So how much time can you spend on stuff? And time is money as well. It's not only like the actual cost for printing something or getting your business cards printed. It's also the time you have to invest or the people you have to find to help you with things and so on. So if you put your marketing plan together, put one together for the next 30 days. From day onwards you put it together. What can you do within the next 30 days? Then what can you do in the next 3 months, 6 months and 12 months? This way you break it down into manageable chunks. And then within these, you have separate actions and separate goals and milestones. And yeah, that's really about a marketing plan. So it's just important that you have these steps in between so that it's not overwhelming and you just don't say, okay, I do that in the next 12 months, I do the following things, because you won't. Not just because it's a lot, but just because you might not know where to start and so on. So start with the things that are the most effective ones that you think might be effective. Again, a living document, add to it as you go, because you will learn in the first 30 days or 3 months, revisit what you've done and analyze what you've done. I can't stress this enough. The most important thing is analyze what you're doing. See what's working, what's not working, adjust accordingly. Otherwise you're going to waste money. And it's always learn, trial and error, so learn about things. And as we know, there's not really failure, it's only learnings. So that's the thing you should do. And then after 3 months, you might have learned something and might want to change the 6-month and 12-month plan. But that's okay. You don't have to feel, oh my God, I wrote that down 6 months ago, I have to stick to it. It's not like that at all. You might come across new things, and technology and everything's changing so fast, and there's always new marketing opportunities. There will be events coming up, networking events, openings of stores, anything. It depends on your target audience that you're targeting. You will know where to find them and how to adjust it. So, any question about the marketing plan and engaging your audience? Okay. Then we come back to step number change. 3. Analyze who you want to work with. And this is all about creating your avatar, finding your ideal client. And just want to say that just because you define your ideal client doesn't mean other people won't ask you to help them as well. It's just making it much easier for you to market your services, knowing how to talk to people, finding your tone of voice, knowing where to find the people. And this is really about finding out who you want to work with. There will be, especially at the beginning, maybe sometimes people you don't want to work with really, but you might have to because you want to get your reputation and so on. But it's really more about finding out who you want to work with and who's your ideal client. And there are loads of questions you can ask to go through. And I think I've got like 35 of them, but I'm just going to share some of them with you tonight that will keep you going. And I say it again, have a look back at the recording and go through in detail. But I'm going to give you for each slide like just a couple of minutes to write down and brainstorm the answers to the questions. So this is again the why should you do this. And I mentioned, I think, all of these points before. So you will know where to find your audience. You can define tone of voice, and it will be the basis for all your marketing activities. And then you won't waste money on people who don't want or who don't need your product or services. So let's go in it. Who is your ideal client? What motivates them? Where do they live? What are their issues? What are their greatest fears? So these are a few questions. There are a few more slides, but I'm going to give you a couple of minutes just to brainstorm a few things. And in the meantime, I'm just going to explain why I think these are very important questions. So what motivates them is, again, if you know what someone is motivated by, you can use that in your marketing messages and just put it in there or put it on your website in your text so they know, oh, that person is talking to me, knows exactly what I want, knows exactly what my issue is, what I'm afraid of, and so I think that person can help me solving my issue. So this is really important. And again, where do they live? If you have an online business, it doesn't really matter, but then again, you should know, okay, that person is online. Where is that person online? Why is that person online, and so on. So just go through. I'll give you a couple of minutes to write down and brainstorm some answers to these questions. Okay, moving on to the next slide and the other questions. How can you make their lives better? And I say that again, and when you have these answers to the questions, you should revisit them from time to time and make sure all the answers are in your marketing material. I include a website as well of that, in that. So if you know what can you make to make their lives better, put that on your website. Always focus on the benefits for your clients. It's no good to say, oh, I'm great at this, I'm great at that, I'm a great coach, I'm really good in talking, I'm really good in communicating with people. That's not enough. People will then just say, I'm showing off. You should have to point out the benefits to the customers. No matter what you do, all your marketing should focus on what you can do for them. And then you put some background behind it and show them that you're really the right person and an expert in what you're doing. What type of people do you love having around you? So if you don't know, I don't really know who I want to work with and who's my client or my customer, just maybe think about, okay, who do you like to be around with, surrounded by? So your friends, family, why do you like to be with them? What kind of characteristics do they have? and so on. What are their values? And I talked about values before. Where are they located? What are their highest dreams? And again, if you have all these answers, very easy to write some text for your marketing material. I'm quiet, by the way, so that you can brainstorm. Forgot to say that, but I thought it's obvious for now. Some of you might think, okay, all those questions are more for individuals, but my clients will be B2B, so business to business. All those questions are relevant for these people as well, because you need to know who are you talking to in that specific organization, and what do they fear, what do they hate, what do they value, and so on, so that you can talk to them, because you don't talk to a company, you still talk to individuals. So all those questions are relevant as well. But there are a few other questions that you can ask that are just B2B specific, which are the following. What type of organization is ideal to work with, and why? So that might be the size and so on. Where are they located? What sector are they in? What distinguished features do they have? The turnover, everything. So same as in your own goal setting, you need to be very, very specific about that. And then in the end, you have an avatar that might say, Susie is 35 years old. She's a mom of 2 kids, 7 and 6 years old, married, living in the countryside in the UK in a 4-bedroom house, is part-time working with a salary of X, and so on. So be very specific, and you can give the person, your target audience, a name. You should even be more specific if possible. I've left out these questions for now, but if you revisit it, be very specific about age, and don't say, oh, 25 to 45. That's too big. Your ideal client. What age is your ideal client? Be very specific what they earn, what they do, and so on. And you might think that you don't have all the answers, but you will. And even if you don't, find out, because this part is the main bit. If you don't get it right, and you don't know who you're targeting, you don't really know what to do you? You don't really know where to find them, how to market your services. And all of this will help you not only for the marketing, but also for creating your services and products, because then you know exactly the needs. And that's really it on analyze who you want to work with. Do you have any questions on that part before I just recap? Okay, it might be a bit overwhelming now as well with all those questions, but really make use of the replay and just go through and maybe Google some more questions. There, as I said, in my program, we're going through like 30 to 40 questions. It will take a while to go through it, but it's really worth doing that exercise. So just to recap, 6 steps that every startup should take. Clarity, which is all about your goal setting. Hang on to your values, which is about your and your company's values. Analyze who you want to work with. This is what we've just done. Narrow down the steps. So these are all the steps that are involved in actually setting up a business and make it successful. Grow your confidence to stay motivated and focused. And engage the audience, which is all about the marketing plan. And these are really 6 easy steps. And they will time to go through it. Nothing happens overnight, but it's really worth going through them, because then you stay focused and will make your business a success. So, I just have a question coming in. Sorry, let me just read that. Can the ideal client change? Yes, it can. because your values and you yourself might change or will change within your journey. So if you start out your own business, your ideal client might not change, but within 5 years' time, you might find out, oh, actually, my ideal client is someone else, and you didn't know that before. If you look at my journey, I started out as a life coach and wasn't sure about my niche. And someone in when I did my coaching practitioner, my mentor, she said, the niche will find you. You don't have to find a niche, it will find you, and she was right. So my niche is now creative startups. So people who are creative or want to work in the creative industry, they want to start their own business. And that's quite specific, but it's just who I like to work with, what I enjoy, and because it's my background, I'm kind of an expert in that as well. So at the beginning, my ideal client was someone else, but now it's even more specific. And the other question was, does it matter if they do change? It matters so much that you then have to revisit your marketing material, including the website. And the website is the easiest thing to change, so you can just revisit and check out your tone of voice, because if you're changing from your ideal client were pensioners to 18-year-olds, you should use really a different tone of voice. So this is like, yes, it does matter if it changes, because you then have to target differently, and you will find the ideal clients in different sectors and areas as well. So for me, for example, if you're quite generic, you don't really know where to find them. But if I'm specific and say, okay, my ideal client is a startup in the creative industry, I know to which events I should go, what meetup groups should I visit, and how should I talk to them. And that also means I can be very creative in what I'm showing the people. So that's really, it doesn't matter how, if they change, but it's not bad if they change, if you know what I mean. Okay. Just a few goodies I want to give you for the end of this session, this webinar. I have a free ebook that I got really good feedback on, and as I said, it's free, and just go and grab it on my website. It's called the Ultimate Knowledge Toolbox, and it contains free resources. So everything that's in there, it's really free to use. And there are resources and tools like website and so on. Website, apps, podcast, all these kind of things that you can use. And if you go to my website, christinethecoach.com/theultimateknowledge-toolbox, you can then type in your email address, just confirm your email address, and then I send you a link to the book to download. The current book is 47 pages, and what I do, if you stay subscribed, I update the book regularly with new resources I find and tools, and then send it out to the subscribers so they get the latest ones as well. If you don't want to type in all the URL, just type in christinethecoach.com, and then on my homepage it is on the right-hand side as well. It's called the Ultimate Knowledge Toolbox. And it's not a how-to book, it's a where-to-find stuff book. So it's really just full of resources, just explaining quickly what the tool or website is about, and then you can go to it and just use it. And there's different sections which are called business, communication, creativity, productivity, keeping up to date, networking, personally developing, marketing, and inspiration. So really a lot of areas that will help you and your business moving forward. And they're all free to use, so that's a great thing. The other thing I'm having at the moment is a competition where you can win a free coaching session with me. And that's during the National Careers Week. So the deadline for that is like the 16th of this month, March. And all you have to do is write an inspiring blog post about why you want to start your own business. And then I choose the 3 most inspiring blog posts and publish them on my blog as well. And you can check out the details of the competition on christinethecoach.com/competition. And the last thing I want to offer you, especially as people that come via the Career Circus, is a 30% discount. Now, what I'm doing at the moment, because of the National Careers Week, everyone who books in this week, by the end of the week, so we don't have to have extra coaching session this week, but just to book something in, I offer 25%. But what I'm going to do for you, first of all, I'm going to extend the deadline to end of March, and I'm going to give you even more discount. So a 30% discount on all my products and services until end of March. And if you want to check out what I'm doing, which is the 6-step program, change either in a full program or as a breakthrough day, where we take out certain elements or tailor a breakthrough day to your needs to start up your own business. But what I also offer is a marketing package. So just have a look on my website, christinethecoach.com/work-with-me, and you see what I offer. And if you want to connect with me, feel free. Again, website, email address. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, everything you can think of, really. But yeah, feel free to connect with me. And what I forgot to say, I mean, it's on here. If you want the 30% discount, you need to quote Career Circus, so I know that you're coming through this webinar. And that's it about me. And now I'm open for even more questions. If you have any other questions you can think of that you didn't ask before. And Saffron will send you an email where you can see the replay and then just go through again. I mean, if you have any other questions on a later point and that you can't think of right now, feel free to send me an email to hello@christinethecoach.com. And that's really it from my side. There's one question. What is your one tip on pushing yourself to get started? It's a good question, because a lot of people say, oh, I really want this, but they never do it because they're too afraid or anything. My one tip would be just do it, really. But you need to be clear about what you want. So it's all about the first step. Just define your first goal. And if you start thinking about it, think about why you want to do it. That keeps you motivated, and that will get you started. So you think, okay, I really want to do that. I mean, there are people who get paid for traveling the world because they love it. These kind of things. As long as you know why, it will get you started. And you need to be brave, but most people who start their own business are brave anyway.
Hi, Christine. I'm coming back into
also
the call.
You can, okay.
Hi there. That was a really tough question, that last question, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But I think your advice there to just do it, just to get started, is
Yeah.
fantastic, and that is so true. I think sometimes people can spend a long time planning, procrastinating, not really doing it. And you're right, you have to be brave, and you just have to go for it and try it. And those 6 easy steps that you went through, especially, that analyze, know your ideal client, and also the marketing tips you gave. I was tweeting along with the session, and we had lots of people favoriting some of your quotes there on your marketing tips and knowing your ideal client. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for doing the webinar this evening.
Yeah,
lovely. So are there any final questions that have come through on the feed, or are we done all of them? Just having a look.
Yeah, I didn't get any more to me in the chat box.
That's great. Okay, lovely. Well, I'm just going to switch over the screens then back to me, so we can just do the final conclusion slide. So I'll just do that. And just to say, Christine, thank you so much for doing this evening and talking with us. We really appreciate
Yeah, thanks for having me.
your time. No, brilliant, and some fantastic tips there as well. So as Christine said, we will be making the slides and the recording all live. So there will be a live sort of recording that people can listen again to. And even if you're here live now on the webinar, I do recommend that you look at this again and look at the notes and some of the things that you were jotting down, and do go through the recording again. But for those of you who didn't attend live, this should still be really useful for you. So please do feel free to share the slides and share this recording. And Christine's contact details are on there, so if you've got any questions, please do contact her. And the last slide here I just have from Career Circus, just to say thank you so much for attending this Career Circus webinar, and there's some links there to some other webinars and events that we're having, and also the Young Professional, the YP network that we have, where you're all welcome to come along. There's lots of business and entrepreneur people that come along to the YP networking events, as well as young professionals themselves, and we have a whole range of speakers. So do come along to any of those events and connect with us on our LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. We'd love to hear from you. Okay, well that's it for this evening's webinar. Thank you again to Christine. We really appreciate your time, and thank you everyone for attending, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one. Thanks. Bye.